Holding space is about showing up authentically and creating safety in the moments that matter most. From parenting littles to navigating friendships and partnerships, I reframe tantrums, conflicts, and messy feelings as invitations to connection. I'm Julia Clark, a psychotherapist and play therapist with over 30 years of experience walking alongside children, families, and the people who care for them. Each episode explores the building blocks of emotional literacy, co-regulation, and boundaries, while honoring the intergenerational stories we carry within. Blending science with lived wisdom, I believe growth is playful, healing is possible, and we are all learning together. Hi, I'm Julia, and together we're holding space. You've already said no, and then it comes again. Can I have it now? What about just this once? Please? Maybe it's softer this time. Maybe it's louder. Maybe it's more emotional. And you feel that pull. To explain again, to justify, to negotiate, or to hold firm, but with tension building underneath. And somewhere in that moment, it stops feeling simple and starts feeling like a battle. Today, I want to slow that moment down with you, because repeated requests aren't just about pushing limits. They're about something deeper in the nervous system. Let's reframe the moment. It's easy to think they're not listening. They're trying to wear me down. They just won't accept no. But what if we shifted the question? What if instead of asking, how do I get them to stop asking, we asked, what is their nervous system needing right now? Because often, repeated asking isn't about changing the answer. It's about trying to find safety inside the answer they didn't want. Let's look at the attachment lens of limits. There's a principle from Virginia Axline that becomes really important here. Axline believed that children need two things to feel emotionally safe. They need freedom within limits and consistency of those limits. Not harshness, not control, but clear, steady boundaries held with warmth. Because limits, when they're consistent, don't create insecurity. They create predictability. And predictability is what allows the nervous system to settle. Why no feels so hard? Let's come into the body. When a child hears no, it's not just cognitive, it's emotional. Something they wanted, something they were anticipating, is no longer available. That creates a small rupture, and their nervous system moves into response. For some children, that looks like asking again and again and again. Not because they didn't hear you, but because they're trying to process the feeling that came with that limit. The nervous system in the loop. This is where we come back to the idea that behavior isn't just choice, it's state. When a child repeats a question, their nervous system may be in activation, trying to change the outcome, or connection seeking, looking for reassurance, or uncertainty, not yet settled into the boundary. And without support, they loop. The same question, the same ask. Not to control you, but to find their footing in that moment. A real-life moment from the playroom. This is something I see often in the playroom, especially in the early stages of play therapy. Before we even enter the playroom, I let children know how our time will unfold. I tell them that I'll give them a 5-minute warning, then a 1-minute warning, and then a 10-second countdown before we leave. And I also let them know what comes next. That we'll go out of the room together, choose a treasure, and then find mom or dad. Because even in that moment, I'm supporting the transition before it begins. And still, when we get to those countdown points, something often shifts. As the 5-minute warning comes, some children begin to escalate. As the 1-minute warning approaches, they may suddenly start a brand new activity, pouring out paints, grabbing new toys, opening something they know they won't have time to finish. And it can look like they're avoiding the limit. But what's happening underneath is something much more important. They're responding to the feeling of the ending, the separation, the transition, the loss of the space. So instead of stopping the play or redirecting them away from it, I allow them to move into whatever they choose. And I stay close, grounded, calm, and present. I might say gently, "It seems like it's really hard to leave the playroom today." And then I hold the boundary. And it's time for us to finish. Same limit, different experience. I'm not removing the feeling. I'm helping them move through it. And over time, something shifts. For many children, this is hard for a few sessions, until they begin to feel the safety of the structure, the predictability, and the consistency. And then the transition softens. But sometimes a child who has been moving through this smoothly will suddenly struggle again. And that's information. It can be a signal that something outside the playroom is feeling less safe. Something has shifted in their world, and their nervous system is telling us through the behavior. This is exactly what Virginia Axline was speaking to. That within consistent limits, children feel safe enough to express what's really happening inside. What this looks like in real life with younger children. "I want it." "No." "Can I have it now?" "I hear how much you want that." And the answer is still no. With older children, "I can see you're trying to find a way around it." And the answer isn't changing. Or in the classroom, "I hear you want more time." And we're still finishing now. With a partner, "I hear this is still important to you. My answer hasn't changed, but I'm here to talk about what's underneath it." The parent's nervous system, and this is where it gets real, because repeated asking can wear on your system. It can create irritation, pressure, and doubt. Should I give in? Am I being too rigid? And underneath that, there can be something deeper. A discomfort with holding the line, a fear of upsetting them, or a pull towards relief. Because saying no doesn't just activate your child, it can activate you too. And this is where gentleness matters, not just in how you respond to them, but in how you hold yourself. Let's take a breath here together. Inhale. Exhale. Think of a moment where you've been asked the same thing over and over and over. Notice what happens in your body. Where does the tension live? Ask gently, what feels hard about holding this boundary? Is there a part of me that wants to fix this quickly instead of staying with it? There's no judgment here, just awareness. Repeated requests aren't a sign that your child isn't listening. They're a sign that something inside them hasn't settled yet. And when we hold the boundary with steadiness and stay connected through it, we teach something deeper than compliance. We teach safety. Safety in the limit, safety in the relationship. And over time, that's what helps the nervous system learn to accept no without losing connection. This is part of our Holding Space series, where we bring compassion and clarity into the everyday moments that shape connection. Thank you for being here and for holding space with me. If the content of this podcast really resonated with you and you'd like to go even deeper, I'd love to invite you to step into this work more fully. Beyond the podcast, there are many ways that we can connect. Individual therapy for your child, parent coaching or support for yourself, and deeper I Am sessions that explore intergenerational patterns. Additionally, I also offer webinar workshops and weekend retreats for parents, classes, intensive trainings and supervision for therapists, and large group presentations for educators or school presentations. Each are designed to help us hold space for the next generation of children in safe, attuned, and meaningful ways. You can learn more and explore what fits best for you at clarity.family.